Hey guys, so I am back with another video, and this one's going to be a little bit different. I decided that I wanted to do a camera comparison video of the Nikon Zfc, which is what I'm currently filming on right now, and a comparison with the Canon EOS R50, okay? Both pretty recent cameras. Actually, this camera here is about a year old, maybe a year and a half old. It came out in 2013, sometime in 2013, but I think it was February of 2013. Anyways, we are going to go over a comparison, just a slight comparison of the two regarding how they look, the functions they have, video footage, as well as the pictures that they take. So stay tuned, and I hope you are going to enjoy this. Alright, so we'll start with the Canon R50 body. As you can see here, it is fairly bulky. It's not super bulky, but it's bulky enough. It's not something that you can fit in your pocket, I would say, but definitely something to put in your camera bag, or obviously have your neck strap. But we'll just kind of go over everything here. This is your speaker / microphone area. It does have an articulating screen, much like most cameras nowadays, so that is a nice feature that I like. I gotta clean that actually. It's a little dirty, so hey, you can flip it facing you or flip it back. It has an digital optical feature here that you can look in. And then of course you have your adjustments here in the bottom. I don't know if you can see that because it is pure white. But you can choose your optical setting in there when you're looking in the viewfinder. Again, it is pretty standard when it comes to the buttons here. There's always a play button. You have your menu, your autofocus, manual focus, your delete button, your self timer, and your continuous shot mode, and your white balance. And then of course this gives you like an info. You can press that button to view how each setting works, and just it kind of gives you a brief explanation of everything. All right, now we are heading to the Nikon Zfc, and as you can see, I am actually shooting now with the EOS R50. So we're going to see the difference between the two cameras as they film. So the last one, of course, was with the Nikon. Now this one is with the EOS R50. Now, a few things that I'm actually noticing already with the EOS R50 versus the Nikon Zfc is the autofocus. I'm pretty sure you can tell on the last video, I felt that the Nikon Zfc just had a hard time autofocusing. I don't know if maybe, again, I'm not really super professional. I would say I'm an amateur still learning about cameras, but I set it at the most basic setting, which was the auto setting. And the Nikon, for me, just felt like it was struggling. So that is one thing that I'm taking particular note about, is that the EOS seems to just shoot flawlessly already. So that might be something to consider if you are one to use the camera for filming a lot. But I digress. So the body of the Nikon Zfc, clearly a lot different. As we can see, they are two different cameras that are just extremely used for different things. So this camera can be used for vlogging though, because I have used it for vlogging. So not saying that it can't be, but I am noticing a significant difference between the Zfc and the EOS, just saying. So as you can see, this is the standard retro design that I picked. There's different designs that you can pick from the Zfc line. I just like this one because it looks vintage. I used to have one as a 35mm when I was younger, so I picked this one. As you can see, like I said, I have the 28mm lens, and that could have a lot to do with the way it is autofocusing. But again, I'm not sure yet. The lens or the dials here, this one has substantially a lot more dials. So I feel like with this one you have a lot more control and bells and whistles in a sense. You know, you have your, if you haven't seen my last video of the Nikon Zfc, I would recommend to watch it just to kind of see, you know, basically what I went over already. So I'm not going to go too far into detail with these dials, but it has your basic dials. It has your ISO right here, your shutter speed right here. Then it has your white balance right here. So you can choose these, and of course, you know, it has your modes right there. So as you can see, there's your manual, your aperture, your shutter, and then your auto, and then you have your program mode. So of course you can choose whichever one you want to go to, and of course you have your dials to change whatever you want to change. So moving on to the front as well, as you can see, it's got two shutter dials here and aperture dials here. So this is to control your shutter and your aperture, and this is also the same thing. It just kind of varies. So each one does different things depending on what mode you choose here. So definitely a lot more buttons on this one for sure. You know, it's got your record button right there. Flipping it to the other side, clearly it's got a articulating screen. So we will show the same thing. Definitely both cool with the articulating screens, which I love in a camera. You know, your auto, your OKs, your menu buttons, your display buttons. So pretty much the same thing. I don't think I actually showed that on the Canon R50, but basically yes, pretty much the same types of buttons here. So you have your play button here, your trash, you know, delete button there, with as long as your AEL and AF locks. So again, I think this one is a bit more for the camera enthusiast that knows a lot more about this and would want to customize things more. I think the ZFC is a bit more up your alley. Also, what was I going to say here? Yeah, on the side here, you know, you have your standard charging ports, USB ports, and then your microphone port there. And there's nothing on this side. Of course, your battery's down here. And it also has an optical zoom finder, which I don't know if you'll be able to see. Yep, you can see that kind of in there. So, and then the button to adjust it is in there. As with the EOS R50, it was actually, oh, let's drop that, under this. So, a little bit, obviously, different design there. So that is the camera body differences. Now, as far as the two cameras side by side, I can't really obviously show the side by sides as well, which, you know, I can take a picture of the two, which I'll show y'all that. But basically, the camera, I guess the sizes of the cameras are obviously different. It just really depends. They're both a bit bulky to me. But it just really depends on what you want as a, you know, the feel of it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I like the the EOS R50 because the camera has like a hold, like a grip, and this one is just flat. So it's not very ergonomically great. So you really just have to hold your camera really well and, you know, get your focus, you know, get your stance. As with the R50, you kind of have that grip already, so it gives you better grip. So that's one thing I'll say as well that goes with the R50. But yeah, substantially they're both bulky. This one is just a bit wider, and the R50 is a little bit more, it's smaller, but it's a bit stubbier. I don't know how to explain that, but it's kind of more, it's more bulkier. But they're both bulky. I mean, no, let's face it, they're both bulky, but as far as like taking one on the go, it really just varies which one you want to take. So then we'll kind of go into the features of the menus. Okay, so as I was stating on the R50, the design, oops, I just shot a picture. The design is, you see that little grippy there? I really like that. I think this is It just feels better on the hand. But again, it's just based on preference. So if that's not your thing, that's fine. Again, I didn't really kind of go over the dial modes and the buttons here on this side. So of course, you know, you have your play button there, your set, your delete button, your white balance button, and your manual focus, autofocus, and of course your timer button here. So and again, as you, I don't know if you can see that, but basically you can choose, which I like that here because it's kind of a fast function to just press that button there. If you want to pick your just depending on what shot you want, like continuous, low speed, and you can pick your self timer, 10 seconds, 2 seconds, self timer, continuous. So you could actually set a self timer, and then it'll take, depending on the pictures that you want or how many you want, it will take 2 to 3, just really depending there. And it is touch screen. The ZFC is also touch screen, so most of these cameras are now touch screen. You know, you have your info, which if you want to go back here, just press that there. You have this here, which I like as well. You can just kind of, and it gives you hints too of how you know, what it does, how you want to work it. So, you know, you have blur, background, brightness, contrast, saturation. So it does offer that feature again here as well. It's your creative assist, so you can choose different functions there. So I like that a lot, and I'm just going to hit back. You just hit menu to go back. So again, here you can have touch shutter or disable the touch shutter, whichever one you want. This one is your raise the flash. You can choose different things here, like the raw image, just basically how you want your pictures to come out in a sense. So here, obviously, you can just turn off the focus there. You can magnify. This is actually a magnifier, so if you want to just kind of look at that there. It's magnify. I don't know if you can really see that, but probably cannot. So pretty much, I feel like the R50 really has a lot of features that are easy to get to, versus with the ZFC, you kind of have to really hunt around and search around and go in the menu. That's kind of what I've noticed with using the two. So that's just me. You know, depends on really how your preference. But I like everything that I like to use and want to use ready to go and easy to find. So of course, and it's a pretty basic camera. It's got pretty much everything laid out here. So if you want to go to the menu, you can start, you know, you have your, let me go back over here. So you have your transfer, your Wi-Fi transfer, so you can transfer it to the phone, or, you know, to your smartphone, to a computer, whichever one you want. Let me actually go back on this here. So we'll start over on this side. So we're going to just start right here. So of course you have your camera buttons here, so you can pick your movie mode, you know, all of the features that you want for the camera. It's got all these settings here that you can choose, your assist mode. Now I have it on auto, so some of this will be shaded out. So again, this is just kind of for general purposes, so you kind of know. Same thing here, you have your focus stuff here. So a lot of this is grayed out because it's on auto mode. So it just kind of gives you the options that you can choose. So everything that is not highlighted, you can, I'm sorry, that is highlighted, I should say, you can choose, and everything that's grayed out you cannot choose because it's on auto mode. So again, just features here, you know, you can touch screen it here. This is just how you want to look at your playback and look at your pictures. So I won't go into all of these menus here, but again, you can just kind of look at each of them and determine which one you want. Same thing here, you have your settings. So just if you want to go and change the language, the date and time, etc., you would go here. And then you have your video system. Just kind of basically tells you, you know, what you want to do, how you want to do it. Like here is the choose USB connection app. So it's got a lot of features, a lot of bells and whistles that I have not quite used yet, but for those who have used it or want to use it, it is all in there. So then we'll switch it to, let me go here. I'm going to switch it to just like aperture mode, right? So this is your aperture. This can tell you which one you want. Do you want it blurred or do you want it sharp? So it just kind of depends which one you want here. So it will kind of choose it for you because it is kind of on auto, but if you want to choose, everything else is on auto, but this kind of gives you the more, so just more freedom to choose your aperture. So as I said, the button here controls anything, so whichever mode you're on. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the numbers moving there. So that's where you would choose your aperture. And as you notice, if you go into the menu again, we'll go here, and you can notice some of the things that are pretty much not grayed out. Most of it is highlighted, so this gives you more options to choose whichever you want. And you notice there's a lot more screens now, so it really just depends which option you choose is what you'll get in the menu and what's available to you. So same thing for shutter speed. You hit that, and then it's gonna just pretty much tell you, again, there's your shutter speed right there. You can touch screen it if you want, and choose it like that, which I like that feature. So it just really depends, or you can just use the dial if you want. So we'll go back on that, and let's see here. We'll go back into, of course you have video mode, so you can choose HDR. It gives you, again, it kind of explains it here. So, it kind of gives you, like, this one is IS mode, record movie less affected by camera shake. So you can choose a lot of things here. So that's your movie mode, and there's your manual mode as well that you can choose to pick. You can pick to customize your settings as far as like the aperture and the shutter and the white balance and all that. And then of course this is your auto mode, which is what I tend to use a lot anyways. So again, scene mode, I kind of went over that already before, but I do like that you can choose different scenes. You have your portrait mode, you have your HDR mode, you've got your city, you got your food mode if you want to shoot pictures of food, your close-up, movement, kids. So it's got a lot of options, landscape. This is the smooth skin, which I like that a lot. So, and then of course you have your very first one, which is the self-portrait. So again, don't know if you can see that. Sorry for you Nikon users. This is what I was talking about. I don't know. Again, I just feel, if you notice, the Nikon has a hard time autofocusing. I just feel like it shouldn't. But as with the R50, it's just wham bam, it's there. So I'm pretty sure y'all are noticing that. So we'll go over the ZFC settings now. Good. So again, I won't go into these features as much. You have your custom settings menu here. So this has a lot of customization that I feel is a little bit more than the EOS R50. I'm not going to go too much in there because I don't really do customization because I don't really know everything enough to actually want to customize. And for the most part, I feel like what I use anyways is fairly okay. This is pretty much for the avid photographer. If you want to use customization, I would think that they know a little bit more about that. You have your settings, you have your format, memory card, your languages, your time zones, etc. So pretty much standard with most cameras, so yeah. So actually, oops, I think I just actually changed the settings, but no, there we go. So again, it's all good. You know, you can choose that. You have your retouch menu, which I like this a lot. I didn't really see a retouch feature on the R50. But again, I feel like you wouldn't need a lot of retouching for the R50. So when you shoot the pictures, and I'll get into that more when you actually see the pictures. But here, and I'm saying that the ZFC doesn't take great pictures, because it does. I went on a trip to Seattle and it shot wonderfully. But this is just a little bit more features here. So you can have your raw processing, you can trim it. So we're gonna pick this actually. Trim, resize, de-lighting, red eye correction, saturation, etc. So again, just really what you want to pick. So you can trim the video, you can overlay it, and then this is my menu. This is, again, you can customize your menu with this. So I don't really do it, but for those who want to do that, you can do that and pick, you know, have your own custom menu, so that way is just certain actions and features that you go to on a basis. So that's a pretty cool feature there. As far as just shooting, again, that's just the auto. So actually I had to scratch that because I had to take a phone call. Sorry guys. Anyways, so yeah, so you have your shutter here. I'm sorry, this right here is your shutter speed. So you want to pick it, you can pick your shutter speed there. Now when you have your aperture, you can change it back to your aperture. So if you want to, I like using aperture a lot too, because I actually kind of interchange the both. I like trying to play around with the aperture and the shutter. So again, aperture right there. And you can pretty much pick, I forget which one it is. There we go. So this front dial here is where you would change your aperture, and I'm sure you can see that moving around there. And of course, if you want to change your ISO, there's that, which I believe you can do that. Oh no, I don't think it lets you actually when it's on, because everything else is controlled. I forget. Everything else is pretty much controlled except the aperture, because it lets you modify the aperture. So depending on which mode you pick, you can choose basically. So pretty repetitive there. Pretty much the same thing. Each function works the same as the R50 or any other camera. You have your shutter mode, you have your aperture mode, your manual. So pretty much standard on all things there. So again, I didn't go into too much, I mean, all of the features. I just kind of went on the basic features of each camera, because it can, you know, just the going over each feature in general is definitely a lot. So we won't go into detail that much there. It's just really up to you. Now, if you want to look at more features, I suggest definitely, you know, going over the manual, or even other YouTube videos too, because they definitely have some really good ones out there that just go over every single feature of each camera. But I just wanted to do a comparison of these two and what they have to offer for the most part and in general, and what they look like, and, you know, the different features and modes. So I'm also going to show y'all the differences between the pictures of the Nikon and the R50, so you can kind of see the two. As you can see, you can tell the differences of filming on the Nikon, because each camera that I, you know, like right now this is the R50 shooting the Nikon, and then I use the Nikon to shoot the R50. So you can see the differences there. So that's it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Please like and subscribe, and go from there. Thank you.